this is Virginia again, and it's another beautiful day here in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. And I like to say Phoenix, Arizona because, believe it or not, there are parts of Arizona where it's higher elevation and it's colder, and then there's other parts of Arizona where it's really hot. And in Phoenix right now, it is just absolutely gorgeous. I think it's probably about 72 degrees out here. Yesterday I spent the entire day outside fooling around, either on the treadmill or working on my presentations here, and just enjoying the outdoor weather, which is something I don't really do. And being on the treadmill for long periods of times, if I don't have my iPod on and music going on in my ears, I have a lot of time to think about things, which is what actually prompted this particular video. My doctor always has called in the past all these different diets and personal trainers and everything that we now do as trying to reinvent the wheel. And the truth of the matter is that calories go in, calories come out, or calories stick on you. You have to decide what you're going to do. And let's face it, all of us have had a problem with inactivity. If we did not have a problem with inactivity, we would not be overweight. And that's just the hard core truth of the matter. When I was in my early 30s, I was walking 2 miles every morning, and I was also dancing, ballroom dancing, 3 times a week, actual lessons. Actual lessons were 2 times a week, and they were for a full hour each time. And then after that, I would go downstairs to the lounge where I would dance until almost 3 o'clock in the morning. And at that point in my life, I was probably fighting maybe 15, 20 pounds. It seems like my entire life I've always fought 15, 20 pounds. So it just goes to show you that that level of activity that I was doing back then was the amount of activity I needed to do, what my body needed to do to maintain and maybe occasionally lose a pound. That being said, once I stopped dieting, once I stopped the activity, I started gaining weight, and I started gaining rapidly. And then I would go on these diets, like we all did, and I would lose, 15, 20, even 30 pounds. And I would fall off that, wagon, and, that followed me, that pattern. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with that pattern. So that being said, in order to succeed at weight loss, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, don't get me wrong, I know we've all heard this before, but even the choir needs to know that, or needs to be reminded that they need to practice, that they need to study their music. And sometimes I think we get so wrapped up in the whole gastric bypass, lap band, surgery, yahoo, I'm losing, what are you eating now? What should I be eating? How many calories should I be consuming? How many times are we going to the gym? The list just goes on and on. We forget that this is an actual life-changing event. And if we don't change the way we conduct our days, how much activity we are going to put into our days, all the dieting in the world isn't going to do us a bit of good. We've heard the stories about how someone who's had gastric bypass has lost 150 pounds or 230 some pounds, and then 4 or 5 years later we're going, oh my gosh, they gained it back. They stretched out their pouch. Well, that's because during this stage of what they call honeymoon stage and getting to our goal weight, we're supposed to be teaching ourselves a whole new way of life. Not the whole dieting stuff. We are experts at dieting. We know how to diet. We know what goes into our mouth is bad, we know all that. What we don't know is how to maintain that weight once we've lost it. We don't know how. Or should I say we know how, but we're just not geared to do it. So during this time of weight loss, we're supposed to be teaching ourselves new lifestyle habits. And a good habit takes about 3 months to develop, and another 3 months for it to become a habit. So it's not something that we're going to wake up and say, oh, I'm going to hit the treadmill today, and, I'm going to walk, 2 miles every single day. Well, saying it and actually doing it every single day are two complete different things. We like to use excuses like, well, I'm not feeling good, or I got the flu, or my dog needed to go to the hospital, or my parent just had a heart attack. Whatever the case may be, if we do not take care of ourselves, we won't be able to take care of our dog or our parents or our children. If we don't start putting our health first and start developing these good habits, then it's not going to work. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the crap that we keep inside of our house. I've watched many videos to where the person making the video has said something about, well, I keep chips and cookies and whatnot around the house for the kids, because the kids like this, and, my husband likes that. Oh, crap! We have the most obese children in the world here in America. I know you watch the news. I know you hear the statistics. We've got, every time you turn around, how obese our children are. And the latest thing that I've heard in the past couple of months is our children, this is the first generation that has a shorter life span expectancy than their parents. Ever. And not ever, but in decades and decades. Our children are going to have shorter lives than us. And whose fault is that? It's our fault as parents, because we encourage our children to sit there and play Nintendo. And trust me, I'm a huge Nintendo fanatic. I mean, I was there when Zelda came out, and I was hooked on Zelda, and all of my kids were raised with the Nintendo. But you know what? I knew when it was time for those kids to get outside. And just like when I was growing up, I heard constantly, get outside. Why aren't we kicking our kids outside?